dust in the universe to the waters in the womb I surf. I'm the all in all, from the atoms that exist in the sun to the atom that's in Genesis 1. I'm the all in all, from the first king that walked this globe to the last black slave they stole. I'm the all in all, every living thing you see, all of those things exist in me. I'm the all in all, from the depths of the sea to Mount Everest. Allah in the flesh, most benevolent. This physical form born from melanin. When electrical thought sparked intelligence. Ain't nothing existing I don't exist in. From the clouds in the heavens down to this skin. If you're doing the knowledge, you can follow jewels. In both cases, the basis, water molecules. Rain, sleet, snow, hailstorms come together the same way that my cells form. You don't see it yet, hard to fathom still. It's alike to the pyramids, how my atoms build. I existed as DNA when the earth formed, and my paternal lineage is from the firstborns. Holy Quran, Bible, I'm coded there. In a fine mist, you'll miss if you don't know the square. Yeah, on all four corners they seek the G, while shriners speak on me in secrecy. I created the earth as mother and daughter. Her bones are the rocks, her blood is the water. Yeah. Her skin is the crust, her heart is the core. Yeah. I planted the seeds, I parted the shores. Yeah. Emitted my light, she saw the corruption.
Somewhere in that line, the whole time. Captain, I mean, you know what I'm saying? The white boy, Captain G, that had the black baby hanging on his arm and a noose. His crew, me and him got into it, you want to show all my shit, But that's all those other stories. Like I said, my content could go on forever, because I'm the true and living God. I know every square inch, 12,478,118,400,000 square inches of the planet Earth. I can get jazzy at any time, mathematically, scientifically, history, wherever you want to go. But let's keep it on this God gangster shit, you know what I'm saying? So I go upstairs and he like, yo, I think some of these niggas is telling. Cause it was 18 niggas on that indictment that I seen with my very own eyes. And I would have never remembered Bimmy, be 1000% real. I would have never remembered your government name. But I know whatever was your government name until now when Zip, brought it up, that your AKA, it said AKA Bimmy. And it was another individual up there. And like I said, I love Blackie to death. That was my man, Black Just. But Just was on it too. And I don't remember the other individuals, but once again, it was 9 individuals that went down on Prince's case. All right? So what I'm going to do quick fast before I end this is that I'm going to take y'all to the first part, and I'll put this together in part 2 or part 3. Y'all can get that. And like I said, after this, if y'all don't gas me up on the likes and gas me up, you know what I'm saying, with subscribers, we gonna have a problem, because YouTube, they ain't monetizing nothing. And I don't have no time to wait, because I'm enjoying delivering this true content to y'all. And I'm enjoying trying to shape and reshape some of these stories so that y'all can see the essence of what we about, other than just making the Supreme Team or the A Team, which is better known for the Law Team, to just be that we utilize our knowledge to go out in the street and do wrong. So, let me ask this, right? Give me the information on Prince Miller from the Supreme Team 1997 brief against the courts of New York City. Okay. In late 97, Howard Miller was incarcerated. Okay, was 95 that they gave. Okay, that's just showing you the leader. I don't want that. Okay. Okay, United States versus Gerald Miller. Okay? Okay? Y'all see that right there? So that y'all would know that anything that I'm saying is already in transcript, legal documents, so nobody can say Shy saying some funny style stuff. And I just want y'all to see that my man is up in here, Muhammad, okay? It's United States versus Miller, 1997. United States Courts of Appeal, Second Circuit. Just like Zip said, Second Circuit is all cases, if it's on appeal, they are Brooklyn and Queens. First Circuit is Bronx, Manhattan. I don't know about Staten Island. Okay, United States of America Appellate v. Gerald Miller versus Gerald Miller, Ronald Tucker, Roy Hale, which is Muhammad, Waverly Coleman, Harry Hunt, Shannon Jimenez, Raymond Washington, a.k.a. Ace, Wilfredo Aurora, a.k.a. C. Just, a.k.a. CJ, David Robinson, a.k.a. Bing. Those is all the defendants. Appellant number is 343, 483, 344, 349, 383, 345, 348. Dockets 95-1077L, 95-1308, 95-1203, 95-1302, 95-1307, 95-1327, 95-1466, 95-1642, and 95-0331. That's all 9 of them separate cases that they make in these briefs to try and get back this time. You understand? Because they got loaded up with life sentences. That's why they got over 30 years in and they not back out on the street. Because if they get the life sentences up off of them, they're qualified to come home. Just like my man Ken Du came home when he gave back his 5 life sentences and they rounded it off to 30 years. And he was qualified to come home because he already had 25 years in. Peace to my man Ken Du. Can't wait for us to get our interview. That's gonna blow me up too. But anyway, before Feinberg, Cursor, whatever, District, New York, Brooklyn, I ain't gonna go through all of this because I basically took the time out yesterday to write this out. So I'm going to give it off the paper because I can see it a little bit better. But just in case y'all need to go, like I said, United States versus Miller. You can find that anywhere. Oh, you can find it on Fine Law. Okay? So, y'all already know that it was nine of them that was involved. December 1996, June, Eastern District, Joyce London, Gerald Miller. Another thing right here that Zip was talking about with that dude, anybody that's up north already know that most of the time, if you trying to get any relief, you the individual that's going to have to put in the pro se motion. And a lot of times, the inmate's legal motion is better than the lawyer. But in order for a pro se motion to be accepted by the courts, your lawyer has to back it and, say it's okay that, the language that's in there and everything else is good to go. But in Prince's joint, Joyce L.C. London and Jonathan Turley, Washington, D.C. Joyce was from London, Turley was from Washington. They was the lawyers that was working for Prince. Gerald Miller filed a supplement brief pro se motion. So when Bimmy was talking all that and KK, no disrespect to none of y'all individual, check my people out there, they gonna tell you Shabu's the real deal. Pro se motions is known. Then you got Lloyd Epstein, New York, he represented Ronald Tucker, Daniel Noble, New York City, he represented Bennett and Epstein, New York. They represented my man Roy Hale, Muhammad. Okay, so I'm just showing y'all that that's real. Y'all can also go to, that's JUSTIA. Okay, they got the case there too. Let me just go over a little bit of what they got, because understand, when I was there with Muhammad, Roy Hale, they beat the 4 Colombian bodies. It was 4 Colombian bodies, and then it was one dude that they thought was telling, that was a part of their team. Their name was Gus Rivera. You know what I'm saying? So they knocked them off. The reason why Prince and them beat the 4 Colombian suppliers case was because 2 of the people, Fernando and another one named George, their bodies were so decomposed and everything, they couldn't identify them. So they couldn't get them on the 2, they couldn't get them on the other 2. And that's what made it scary, because the state had already said, if they beat us on the bodies, we're not going to worry about it, because the feds going to come and hit them with the RICO for the drugs. Because they couldn't come back and try it on the fed level with the bodies again, because they had already beat it on the state. So the feds would have had to come with some super, way more concrete evidence, in addition to something else, to reopen the case without double jeopardy being involved one way or another. Okay, so it says in this particular brief that they presenting to the appellate court to get some relief from these life sentences, that in 1987 that the Supreme Team had reached this peak. They said that the Supreme Team was estimated making $200,000 a day. Okay? By the time they came down on Prince and them, they had 100 wiretap conversations among the Supreme Team members, crime scene photos, telephone records, fingerprint evidence, photos of Assembly, Supreme Team member, firearms, ammunition, narcotics, blah, 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 blah. The narcotics paraphernalia and assorted documents among the government's approximately 80 witnesses at the trial were former accomplices, including Puerto Rican righteous Ernesto Pinella, who was the chief of their security. So it was 80 witnesses. So once again, we going back in time. Remember, Bim? You was around. Your name was on that indictment paper. I'm not saying you snitched. I'm not saying you was a confidential informant back then. I'm not saying none of that, homie. But being coming to light, that zip with the drip has put you out there. You understand?
I was just for snitching. I ain't believe that, Paul. You helped me cut my first GSXR. So then you start thinking to yourself, you listen to these songs, you say to yourself, damn, I heard Blackie was snitching. But shit, Preem came home and was messing with that nigga. Preem came home and was messing with Blackie. Rumors in the hood was, just for snitching. I ain't believe that, Paul. He helped me cut my first GSXR. Why this nigga don't believe that? Oh, maybe because when Preem came home, he was running around with Blackie. That's why you don't believe that. That's why. He was back around that nigga. So, the rumors about just snitching was put to bed because Preem was riding around with that nigga. You know how Blackie died? Preem rode around with him too long. God damn it.
I don't got no choice but to bring this situation up. Because I'm wondering truthfully, was you participating back then? That's the only reason why you got 3 years to life? And then you said it was for some chump amount of narcotics. It was not, homie. It was for a brick to an undercover agent. Any sale, big or low, you already know the Rockefeller law. You already know New York State law. Stop playing, Ben. A direct sale of any type of hard substance narcotics to a police officer is an A-class felony in the state of New York, just like a body. Let's get this shit right. All right? If y'all don't know law, you're going to know law by the time I'm finished with you. Ernesto Pinella, the gang's chief of security, like I said, 18 bodies. He got 9 to 18 years. Julio Hernandez, a member of the gang security force. Tony McGee, a gang's associate. And I.N.A. McGriff was a corrupt former New York State parole officer who had sold information to the gang. So they had parole officers and everything in their pocket. Okay, let me read these 9 defendants and what they was convicted of. And once again, like I said, y'all, I was there when they beat the 4 Colombian bodies. And Muhammad came back and he said, yo, Shah, this is crazy. This ain't a good look. We beat the bodies, but they ain't let us go. It might be the feds is coming in to scoop us up. Sure enough, the feds came in. 37 hours, my man Muhammad was gone. All 9 defendants were convicted of conspiracy to distribute and to possess with the intent to distribute cocaine base in violation of 21 U.S.C. 846, 1994. You hear that? So that means that they wasn't even convicted of the crazy shit, which was the 4 Colombian bodies and the 1 body of somebody that was a part of their team. So out of 5 bodies, they let them get around the 5 bodies. But this is why they socked it to them when it came to the drugs. All except for Jimenez were convicted of conducting the affairs of an enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity and violation of the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. It was all good just a day ago until she got the RICO. 18 U.S.C. 962C 1944. Most were convicted of distributing cocaine base in violation. I read that. Okay, so now let's deal with the most important thing. The sentences that they was given. Prince Miller to 7 concurrent life terms plus 20-year term to be served concurrently with his life terms. Once again, he got 7 life sentences. He done did the 20 years and shoot, in a minute he might be pushing 40. But he can't go nowhere till he get the life sentences off for. Number 2, Tucker to 3 concurrent 168-month terms. So he got 168 months. He got 3 of them, but they all ran concurrent. So he got 168 months. He's the lowest so far. Roy Hale, who's my man Muhammad, that showed me the indictment paper. And Muhammad, if you made it back out here and you still alive, you could tell anybody, word is bond, that that's real. Any of these individuals on the indictment, y'all can be real. Let them know. Let Queens know. Let Brooklyn know. Let Harlem know. Let Staten Island know. Let Long Island know. Let the Bronx know. And I'm not saying it with boisterous, like, oh, this, that, and the third, because on some real shit, Bim, I'm feeling for you right now, homie. We supposed to be the last of the dying breed, man. We all come from that same cloth. With our mothers and everything, the streets, everything. Real recognize real. Like they always say, it ain't where you from, it's where you at. So let me continue. Roy Hale Muhammad got 2 concurrent life terms plus 20 years term to be served concurrently with his life term. So that means he got 2 life sentences. He got to get life for him to come home because he got that 20 in. Coleman to 5 concurrent 156-month terms. Okay, he got 156 months. That's lower than 168. But let's still see. All these numbers are still crazy. Number 5, 2 concurrent life plus 20-year terms to be served. Concurrent. Most of them is getting life. And some. Jimenez to 1 360-month term. Big deal. He still got 360 months. Number 7, Raymond Robinson to 4 concurrent 180-month terms. He third. You had the lowest was 156, then 168, and 180 months. Everybody else so far is lives and plus 20. Aurora to 6, he's second in line right now behind Prince. Prince had 7 life sentences. Aurora to 6 concurrent life term plus 5 years and 1 term of 20 years, both served concurrently with life sentence. Another one they got to get life for. And last but not least, David Robinson to 5 3-2-month terms to be served concurrently with the sentence in New York. Okay. The government used it with the wiretaps and register the court's refusal to conduct a Messiah hearing concerning the testimony of cooperating witnesses and the Mastrigo hearing concerning the admissions of hearsay evidence and statements by homicide victims. All of that's in behalf of the DA. What Prince was also saying in his brief was he contends and the government concedes that under the double jeopardy clause, he could not properly be convicted of both narcotic conspiracies and engaging in the CCE, continuing of a criminal enterprise. And he's right, y'all. You know, really, they really been unjustly sentenced, because the whole thing about it is they beat the bodies in the state. All of these are drug charges that now they know was overzealous, and you know the DAs, you know, a lot of prosecutorial misconduct because of the unlawful sentences with the mandatory minimums, crazy stuff. This is crazy right here, right? Okay. I just wanted to say that this is crazy because the main lawyer that we had on our team, I never got a chance to use him, but I don't got to mention, you know, like I said, my Logan Street Guard story for later on down the line. But anyway, this dude, and how you know we connected, Lawrence H. Schomback, New York City. He wrote the brief on behalf of Harry Hunt. Okay? I know Schomback personally. That's our lawyer. Okay, Donald Hardwood, he wrote the appeal for Shannon Jimenez, and William Strump and Jennifer Ritter wrote for Raymond Robinson. Erica Holt from New York City wrote for the appellant of Wilfredo Arrero. And Joe M. Stein did it for David Robinson. He was from out in New York. You know, this was all under judges before Finberg, Kurtz, and Cardiman, Circuit Court judges, Cursor, Circuit Court judge, District Court for the Eastern District of New York after jury trials before Raymond J. Dare, the judge convicting them of a host of crimes and connecting with their participation in a criminal enterprise and engaging in distribution of narcotics. Once again, the feds, you know, white collar crimes and all that back in the days. My uncle, again from Queens, thorough gangster, Stanley Ward Abdullah, robbed the bank in 1969, was the mastermind. He got 21 years, but he only did 7.5, because back then you did 1/3. And you went to the Fed joints was like resorts. He was sending me home shit with pools, and my mom just buying, giving them money to buy leather, making alligator pocketbooks, you know. It was like a resort back then. But once the crack came along, you know, bullets, anything, guns, you know, all these trifling, low-life criminals ending up in the feds. The feds is supposed to be for rich niggas and gangsters, you know, mafia niggas that made it to that level, you know, or whatever. Not no, you know, anybody, any gang related, and that's why the feds is so fucked up with the violence and everything that's going on now. Just taking them back to quick fast to 1987, they say Prince ordered at least 8 homicides. He took over for Preem. Prince was incarcerated, state charges, and NYPD and FBI executed those search warrants I was telling you about. The location of drugs out was tipped off, it says in it, number of the Supreme Steam storage location, drug outlets, and residencies. Although the gang was tipped off about the raid shortly before it occurred, it was able to remove 11 keys of coke and 200,000 cash from the targeted premises. How did the police know that? You know. Okay. Okay, Prince was released from prison in spring of '89. His team is Aurora as second in command, Hunting Miller, bodyguard, Puerto Rican Righteous, Ernesto Pinella as head of the security, Roy Hale, Muhammad Jimenez, Julio Hernandez as security workers. Tucker and Coleman managed retail spots focused on a period from December '89 to March 1990, which the state was monitoring the gang's activity was wiretapped. So they was being tapped from December of '89 to March of '90. Right. Okay, Trent Morris negotiated cocaine deals by telephone. This is some of the stuff that was on the wiretap. Supplier who the Colombian connections, and Morris and Raymond Robinson would then drive. So basically Trent, who he was a dude that had to hook up with the Colombian dudes, and Morris and Raymond would then drive to Graham's apartment with the money to purchase keys of coke. 1987, the Supreme Team was allied with another drug gang led by Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichols that supplied the Supreme Team with powdered cocaine. Okay, Ainda McGriff and Secretary Rodney Younger, those are the two that was having sex. Ainda was having sex with Puerto Rican Righteous, and the other broad was dealing with Prince. Righteous testified to Ainda McGriff that Prince paid the two women $3,000 for the Bolden brothers' address. They had handwritten notes of such address. This is when Just Me, who is Henry Bolden, civilized his brother that did what he did to Cat. And, they alleged that, Cat is the one that put the hit. 1987, Ainda McGriff also gave Puerto Rican Righteous documents indicating that the Supreme Team member James Page was cooperating with authorities. Supreme, upon receiving that information, Kenneth McGriff, who just been arrested on federal charges, ordered that Page be killed. Pinella subsequently arranged it. I don't even want to go through that one again, but y'all know what it was. Y'all heard it and y'all caught it. Accordingly, in August 1989, Aurora arranged for him to be killed. Rivera was shot in the head in Baisley Park courtyard, but he survived and hid from the gang temporarily. Aurora learned Rivera's whereabouts from Rivera's girlfriend by threatening to kill her. Now check this shit out. My man Muhammad, what they allegedly accusing him of here, but they beat all these, remember, in the state. So it don't matter, because the feds wasn't charging them with these murders. Aurora and Hale proceeded to track Gus Rivera, to a Queens motel room where they shot him to death. Okay? Suarez Perlaza murders Fernando Suarez and Pablo Peraza were also a Colombian surprise to the Supreme Team in the summer of 1989. The team decided to steal these suppliers' cocaine to steal these supplies cocaine rather than buy it. Accordingly, in August 1989, when Suarez and Perlaza arrived at Hale's, once again, I told you, the old timer that showed me the goddamn indictment with Bimmy name on it, and Black Justice back then, was no joke. Okay, they saying that they brought these two Colombians to Roy Hale's house, who's my man Muhammad, and Baisley Park apartment. Roy Hale held them at gunpoint while Aurora and Hale by Julio Hernandez. He held them at gunpoint. While Aurora and Hale bound them with tape. Supreme Team members then tied the suppliers' heads in plastic bags. Let me repeat this one more time. Not to add anything to this, because like I said, this was, never, they beat that. They beat it. While Aurora and Hale bound them with tape, the Supreme Team members then tied the suppliers' heads in plastic bags while Suarez and Pereira were suffocating. Hale beat their heads with a baseball bat. So while they got the bag over their face, I'm not laughing at that. And excuse me, my audience, my laughter is just one mechanism that I built up for all the horrors and the post-traumatic stress growing up in these type of war zone environments. Okay? Hale beat their heads with a baseball bat. Thereafter, Hunt was called upon to help dispose of the bodies. The real talk, they wasn't playing no games. Okay, so like I said, Puerto Rican righteous hit James Pay, ordered to hit, all that. Murders of Gus Revere and the 4 identified suppliers. Gus Revere was a Supreme Team member who had introduced the gang leaders to some of the Colombian suppliers. According to the trial testimony, 4 of these Colombian drug traffickers were robbed of their cocaine and brutally murdered in July of 1989 by Miller, Aurora, Hale, Hunt, and Jimenez. However, other than the testimony that the 2 of these men were known as Fernando and George, the government was unable to present they was unable to, to present and prove their case, thoroughly. And before I get off on here, this macaroon honey is some good stuff, especially for us older cats. Got moranganine, goji, berry, hibiscus, zagafern, and mecca powders. Do a lot for you. It got all this stuff back here, blood pressure, it's even good for, our love muscle, so forth and so on. Good for the queens and menstrual cycles and everything else. So I'm gonna have to chop this up crazy. But at the end of the day, I gave y'all a whole heap of stuff, to take into consideration. And once again, like I said, I'm definitely am not elated with the process of another well-known street player, well-known street gangster, because, like I said, all the stories that Bimmy tell, we all coexist when it comes to manhood. You got your ass whooped. If you was 14, you wasn't no match for a cat that was 18 back then in the 60s and early 70s and everything else. And this is where all this equalizer, this gunplay come in at. And true, back in the days, you had a lot of individuals that were bullies and took advantage because they had, big families or crews or whatever. But at the end of the day, you still had to be a man, you know? And you had to know how to use your hands and protect yourself. And I'm going to go through the whole transformation of the gun, like a Nas joint, and tell you why the condition in all ghettos throughout the world, not just the United States, is going through these degrees of violence because there's no more structure, there's no more manhood. You know, everything is off balance due to the deaths, incarceration, and, you know, the homosexuality within our black male community has allowed a lot of the black queens, our old earths, our mothers, to raise us and be responsible for us. I know us coming out of the 60s and the 70s, our mothers, even though they was mothers, they still taught us how to be men. You know, because they got out there. I know my mother scrubbed floors, like I always said, long before I learned anything about hustling drugs or anything about hustling, period. Because I always been a hustler, from packing bags in the grocery store, from a little cat, and, you know, knowing how to weave and bob so the old cats won't catch me coming out and take my change out and pack bags for all day long. Until I got old enough to put a little blade in my pocket or something I could, you know, I could use as leverage if somebody trying to take something from me. So all these things is along the course of life. And one thing and two for sure, you can fool the people some of the time, but you can't fool yourself none of the time. And anything that's hidden in the dark will eventually come to light. And I don't want to know everything about you, and I don't know your sexual I don't want to know none of that bullshit that be popping off. But people be opening up the doors of that. So then you got these chicks running around talking about licking individuals of all self, and I know he's a homo, the way he spread his legs. This shit is crazy out here. So on top of all this, like I said, the endless off guard in them streets, Bim, I hate to see you looking like this right now, son. But that info, and that brother had nothing to lose. And yeah, you could say he putting you in there. Yeah, he gonna put you in there. The man got 35 years. He got 25, and they gave him 10 consecutive. And then gave him the lower numbers with the pistol charge, and they let that run concurrent. So he got 35 years. If it's any loopholes, he gonna try and use it. And even if it's not a loophole, just the mere fact that you got shit with DD5 from police questioning you in regard to this case, and like Zip said, you should have been easy. You the one that jumped up there and spilled the beans about, you know what I'm saying? You signed the affidavit.